Welcome, I've started the recording. We'll get started here. Welcome to an advanced bibliographic editor tips and tricks. I'm going to start sharing my screen in a moment. And what I thought I'd do today is rather informal. Take a look at editing a record and then take a look at creating a record. And please feel free to ask any questions about Koha in the cataloging editor or anything related to cataloging, and we'll take it from there. So I will start sharing my screen. Okay, can folks see that?
Oh, yeah.
Good. So starting out, let's look up a record, and this is our live Koha catalog. We're on 1911-07 as of this morning, and we are running Elasticsearch. And we've got a nice record to edit here. Although it's called the Advanced Editor, I like to think of it more really as just a free text editor, because there's nothing really super advanced about it. It has a lot of features that are handy to anyone who's familiar with editing MARC records or new to editing MARC records. One thing that it has at the very bottom that's super handy for newbies is if you are clicking in a field, down at the very bottom here, it's going to tell you what that field actually is. So when I click in this 245 field, down here it tells me title statement. And then if I want more information, I can click this little tiny question mark, show help for this tag, and it's going to take me right to the MARC 21 format at the Library of Congress, telling me everything I need to know about this field. A little bit of terminology if you're new to it. We call this number here the tag. These numbers here are indicators. And these little tiny numbers, these little tiny letters here are subfields. So here's the indicator definitions. Here are the subfield codes. And if this is all a little too much, just scroll down and you're going to get a lot of examples. So anytime you can click that little question mark, go over here, scroll down and look at examples. And generally there will be something here that's helpful for copying. Another handy thing about this editor is, say you are in this editor and all of a sudden you make a mistake and there's just a bunch of stuff and you're like, oh no, wait, I mistakenly typed a bunch of gobbledygook and entered a bunch of new fields, and oh no, I took out fields. What do I do? Just click home, leave the page, nothing saved. So you always have that escape. And if you go back, it didn't save any of it. There's also a keyboard shortcut that will take you right out. If you do Alt-Q for search, it takes you out of that right away and puts you right in a search box. So those are two handy things to remember for if something happens to the record that you don't want to save, just get out of it. Something else that's handy is this little button here that says keyboard shortcuts. If you click it, it's going to show all the keyboard shortcuts that you can use. And this is something new. I've redefined my copy current field to Control Z. Redefining the shortcuts is really easy. You just click redefine shortcuts and put in here what you'd like them to be. This redefinition is system-wide. So if you redefine them, you're redefining them for everybody using this editor. I redefined Control Z because I like Control C for my operating system copy. And Control Z for copy current field is a little handier for me. One thing that I noticed is that this doesn't float. It's on or off. And if you have a long record, it's going to block some things. It'd be really neat if you could float it around, but that's probably for the future. I'm going to take a look at the chat here real quick. Let's see. Oh, it's not liking that. We're going to do that later. There are a couple of really neat features with the keyboard shortcuts. Control Z is copy current field. So if I click in here and do that, it's going to show up in this little clipboard. And this is the Advanced Editor's clipboard. It's different from your operating system clipboard. Control Shift C will copy just the subfield. Then if you highlight this, you can then paste it into your record. I'm going to take it out because it's already there. Something that I do also is I keep my authority file open so I can do searching over here and say, oh yeah, that's the heading I want. I can use my operating system copy and paste to copy it. And I can go into the editor and paste it in with my operating system Control V or using my mouse to paste it in. And again, take that out of this record because it doesn't actually really belong in here.
Hi, Heather, it's Julie.
Hi.
How are you?
Doing good. How you doing?
Good, thanks. What did I miss?
We're going over some copying and pasting, but it's being recorded, so you'll be able to catch it up later.
Great, thanks.
Sure.
I'm going to go on mute.
Okay. I'm going to take a look at one more thing in this editor, and then see if there are any questions. One thing that's handy when editing a record is you can put in heading and then do the link field to authorities feature with Control Shift L. It It opens a window with your authority file and automatically puts in the term you're verifying. You can just search and take a look at some relevant headings.
What?
I know, right? It's so exciting. And be like, oh yeah, this is really about gay sailors. Sailors was too general. I'm going to choose that. Boom, there it is linked. One thing to keep in mind is it's going to strip the end punctuation, so you probably have to put that back.
I'm sorry about that, Heather. I didn't realize I had unmuted myself.
That's all right. It's nice hearing from the audience rather than just saying this in a vacuum. Again, though, I'm going to take that out because that doesn't really apply to this record. So those are some neat features about editing. And this toggles on and off. So you can, if it's in your way, you can always say, wait, what was that? Toggle it off, see everything that's going. I'm going to go ahead and hit home, get out of this record and not save any of these changes. I'm going to stop my screen sharing for the moment and check the chat, and let's look at some questions. Also, feel free to unmute yourself right now if you have any questions about this. Fred asks, how do we get to the advanced editor rather than the default editor? I'll do that in a moment. Yes, and make sure it's turned on with your system preference. And also, per user, you have to make sure it's turned on. We can look at that too. Can I switch back and forth between the two? I will show you that. All right. Oh, I'm having trouble finding the trademark symbol in the new character map. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and let's take a look at some of these questions. All right, so making sure a user has access to the editor. We have a user here, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. He uses our library quite a lot. You'll go to More, Set Permissions, and then make sure Edit Catalog is turned on and Use the Advanced Cataloging Editor is turned on. And as it was mentioned too, the system preferences. What I tend to do is have one browser set to the advanced editor. So when I go to, I usually go to edit record here, but you can also go into a record and choose edit record. And this browser, Firefox, puts me into the advanced editor. But in the advanced editor, certain things like editing the 008, if I'm familiar with what it is, I can just do it right here. But every now and then I'll be like, wait, what field is this? So I will go to Chrome. And in Chrome, let me go out and go back in. I have Chrome set to the basic editor. So that when I go to edit a record, it takes me to the basic editor, which I happen to like better for editing fields such as the 008, the 000, because it has this handy tag editor, which tells me a little bit more about the field. So I can say, this is the nature of contents. Here's the codes I can choose from. Oh, right, this was government publication. Oh yeah, index or no index. So I've been cataloging a long time. I even find this much handier. I can switch back and forth through the settings and switch to Advanced Editor. And in the Advanced Editor, I can switch to Basic Editor. And this is browser specific. So I tend to have one browser, in my case Chrome, set to Basic Editor for doing basic editing, and Firefox to the Advanced Editor for advanced editing. I'm going to stop the share and check the chat again. Okay, any questions at this point? We'll keep asking questions. Oh, here we go. Oh, I didn't look at the trademark symbol. Thank you. All right, adding a subfield in basic and the trademark symbol. We'll look at that and then we'll go on to doing a new record. I'm going to share my screen again. So we have built into the keyboard shortcuts the copyright symbol and the production symbol for sound recordings and the delimiter. Other ones you have to put in a little bit specially. I do that really seldom. What I tend to do is find it on another screen and copy and paste it. And let's go back to the basic editor. And a way to add a subfield. Let's go over here to the To tab. If you click on the tag, it expands it. Let's try another one. That one has all its fields. Here we go. And you get all the subfields possible. And you just key in the one that you need. And if you need another one, move this over. Let's see, if it's repeatable, on the right, it will have clone this subfield, and you can click that and get more of those subfields. And again, I go home, it did not save those changes. So let's go back over here, get out of this record, and we're going to key a new record from scratch. There's different ways to get there. You can get there from the cataloging tab. And even though you've got new record and you can pick your default framework or whichever framework you have, this is what you want to do if you want to use a specific framework. If it's just your default framework, you can click Advanced Editor and your new record will be in your default framework. For people new to cataloging, over on the wiki, we put up a page called a Good Enough Biblio Record. And this is a template you can copy, or you can actually download a MARC version of this for importing into your catalog if you want. If you copy it, you can paste it right here. And then Control X deletes the duplicate fields. Even though MARC records start with 0000005, we have a 100 here. Let's go ahead and move that field to the right place. So we're going to copy the whole current field, Control Z, and put it in the right place. Delete it from there. Life is much easier if you start cataloging at a 245. And I actually have, I can see my tabs here. I'm going to move this. I have a cataloging playlist to help remind people of the order to do things. We're going to start at the 245, title 245, you both begin with T, that's what you start with. And what you're going to remember is ABC 1, 2, 3 from this great Jackson 5 song. Because the fields you do in order are A, B, C. Then you're going to do your indicators of 1, 2, 3. So A is the title proper. So the title of your book is The Most Wonderful Book. Subtitle, explained, elucidated, and enjoyed. By Mary Jane Popinjay. You're going to transcribe that from your title page usually. A, B, C. Then we're going to do our indicators 1, 2, 3. This is most often a 1. It's just the way it is. This is your filing indicator. And if you forget any of this, remember you can go down here, show the help for the tag, and take a look at examples. A filing indicator tells the system when you're filing this in title order, where do we start? Here we skip 2 characters, A space, we file on R. Here we skip 5 characters, bracket T, H, E, blank, P, the 5th character. We file on the 5th character part. I want to skip 4 characters and file on M most. So this is going to be a 4. ABC, 1, 2, 3. The next field we want to do from our playlist is the 264. 64. We listen to When I'm 64. 264, publishing information. City of publication. Well, say the book I'm looking at was published in San Francisco. Okay, just copy that the way it appears in the book. The publisher name on the title page. William Morrow. The date of publication or the copyright date. Well, it's a brand new book. It was published in 2020. Done. What do we do next? Check our playlist. 300 Pounds of Joy. We're going to listen to some Howlin' Wolf for the 300 field. The last numbered page in the book is how we usually record the extent. This is a really long book. It's got that many pages. Does it have illustrations? Yes, illustrations. If it didn't, we just take this out completely. We don't need it. The height of the book in centimeters, rounded up. It's a fairly tall book. What do we catalog next? Our 3XX fields. Song 337 reminds us this record doesn't have any of those. And they're really strange fields. Luckily, on the Koha wiki, there's a macro, and we're going to look at macros. This page on the wiki, Advanced Editor Macros, has lots of them, including how to do these fields for a book bib record. We can simply highlight these, copy them, go into Koha, open macros, new macro, call it what we'd like. Paste everything in here. It automatically saves. Run our macro. Boom! There are the fields. These fields are really useful. So it's really good to actually have them in the record. What do we do next? We check our playlist. 1. The 100 field. The 100 field is usually the one person most responsible for the item. If it's a body, say it's a report from a corporate body, it's usually a 110. We have one person responsible. It's usually surname, J, Mary Jane. And we could do authority file checking like we did before. This is made up, not in my authority file. What do we do next? 5, 6, 7, 8, the rest of the fields. 5s are notes. Say this book includes an index. Say this book is a reprint, originally published in 1939. 5, 6, 7, 8, 6s are subject headings. Topical subject headings, geographic subject headings. We'll get these from our authority file. And a neat trick about the authority file is if you're looking at a record, the authorized heading is in the 1 field and it's 150, then in your record, it's going to be 650. 130 in the authority file, 630 in the bibliographic record. 110 in the authority file, 610. 151 in the authority file, 651 in the bib record. 7s are added persons or bodies responsible. If we had another author, it would be in a 700. Who gets the 100? Who gets the 700 if they contributed equally? The one who's first named gets the 100. Everyone else gets 700s. Organizations can go in the 710s. Tomorrow, say I like to trace publishers. Title variations, often in a 740. That's good enough. But 5, 6, 7, 8, what's the 8? 8s are series added entries. That's as easy as it is. For a good enough record. I'm not going to save it since this is completely made up. I'm going to stop my screen sharing and let's go look at the chat. We have a question, is the selection of framework that governs what happens in the basic editor about repeatability, etc.? Yeah, there's a lot that you can do in the frameworks. And at the next meeting of the cataloging interest section, we're going to look at the frameworks and editing the frameworks. Oh, great. Barbara told us Alt 0153 for trademark, Alt 0169 for copyright. Thank you. And yes, the framework defines repeatability and what's mandatory in the basic and advanced editors. Yes. I'd like to demonstrate adding a character using the new character map. Sure, let's give it a try. You can, I think, create macros to add. I think you need to do batch modification to edit or update them. I have not played much with the batch modification. To do authority checks in Koha, you do need to have downloaded or created authority records for them, for the headings to be checked against, yes. I'd like to look at how to add images, sure. Yeah, we can totally take a look at that. All right, so let's try adding characters using the new character map. I'm going to share my screen. So for adding characters, let's add a 264, an indicator 4 for copyright information. I want to insert the copyright symbol, Alt-C. I press Alt-C, boom, copyright symbol. I think that's what you're asking. I'm not sure though. Let me know if not. We're going to leave this. Adding images can be done in many places. From here, you can select Edit, Upload Image, and it will take you here where you browse to select your file, and it'll walk you through the process. You can also from here, I believe, select images, and here, if it doesn't have one, or it does, you get the upload, which takes you to the same place. When you upload images, if you want multiple images in your record, the one you upload first will be the one that shows up. So I have a record that can show you that. Let me see, yeah. Oops. Yes. This record of ours has multiple images on it because we wanted not only the cover, but we wanted to show this wonderful dedication page that he did. So the first image we uploaded to show here was the cover, and the second one was the image. And we can go take a look at how this looks in our OPAC. The cover's here. And then you get to see both images. And we have some records that have a lot of images on them. I think this one. Well, again, it has two. We've used this feature to show the contents of some of our PAM files. So this record has the scanned images of everything that shows up, of everything that from this pamphlet file, and you can take a look at them. I'm going to go back and check the chat for questions. Oh, diacritical characters, character map. The way that I do that, I'm going to share my screen again. Go into the record I usually use. So I'm on a Windows machine. And I was recently upgraded to Windows 10. One thing that I do that I haven't done since I was recently upgraded is I just changed my keyboard. I changed my keyboard layout so that I can key in more easily those codes. I haven't played around with that since I was upgraded, so I don't have that option going right now.
Heather,
Yeah.
can I chime in?
Yes,
I
please.
think what they're referring to is the virtual keyboard. So if you go to your keyboard shortcuts up there, there's a virtual keyboard key, and you do Control Shift Control K, and that'll pop up a virtual keyboard.
Oh, that's right. I haven't played with that either. Let's play with it. Thank you, Jason. Shift Control K. There we are.
And now up at the top, there's a new button now in the toolbar called Keyboard Layout, and that's how you switch between the different languages and stuff. But past that, I'm not sure how you find things like diacritics and trademark symbols and stuff. But there's a symbols keyboard, I think, in there as well.
Cool. Let's see. German. Yes, there's my German keyboard. So I could do, oh, it's very interesting. My regular keyboard doesn't work. So I'm going to do here, Shift, S, back down, C, H, U with an umlaut, T, Z. Very cool. And then when I want to type again with my regular typing keyboard, I think I turn this off. Yep, Control Shift K turns it off, and I can type again. That's fun. Thank you, Jason. Get out of this. Stop my share. Check the chat. Yeah, that virtual keyboard is very cool. There were a couple other things I wanted to point out. I'm just going to put some links in the chat. There is coming a development push to master for 2005 to make those macros persistent per login. It's a really, really cool bug coming. Oh, yeah, macro storage bug. There we go. Thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome. I'm trying to be helpful and you utterly don't need it.
No, I really appreciate it. Great minds, you're on the wavelength. I'm really, really excited about that one.
It's a great change.
Yeah. Take a look at my list here. Another thing that I'll point out is for us, we are, when we got upgraded to 1911 and on Elasticsearch, we had some broken authority file searching. When we were searching the authority file with search entire record, search all headings, search main headings, a lot of times it wasn't actually retrieving everything it should be retrieving. There's a patch for that that comes with 1911.07. So if you're on 1911, if you were just upgraded and you have Elasticsearch, it might be good to test your authority file searching to make sure you're retrieving everything you should be retrieving. And if not, perhaps look into 1911.07. So I'm wondering if anybody else has any questions or tips or other tricks or things they'd like to share. Feel free to turn on your video, unmute yourself, chime in. What exactly is Elasticsearch? There are 2 different search engines available, and please, people more familiar with this than I, chime in. It's my understanding that Zebra is the search engine. Zebra is the search engine we were using, and it's the most common search engine. And Zebra is still the search engine for Z3950. So if you're using, say, MarcEdit to search your Koha catalog via Z3950, you're going to be using the Zebra search engine. With later versions of Koha, a different search engine, Elasticsearch, became available. And I like it a lot better. But it's still pretty new and it's still being worked on. If you're wondering which search engine you're using, if you go to your More and About Koha in your staff client and then scroll down, it will tell you things like your Zebra version or some information about Elasticsearch.
And if you're wondering which one you're probably using Zebra. Elastic takes some backend setup that probably nobody did without telling you. There is a system preference that is just called search engine that you can flip from Zebra to Elastic. I mentioned that only to say, please don't go switch it. You'll be sad. If we haven't, I know you're not all Bywater supported. If somebody has not set up that backend Elastic stuff and you flip the system preference to tell Koha to use Elastic, things kind of just go kaput on you. So don't do that.
One thing that utterly love with Elastic is that I have more control over setting relevancies for searching and weighting, and that's really neat. But again, I'm supported by Bywater, and I have been relying on them and their expertise immensely. Thank you for putting the blog entries in the chat, Andrew.
Yeah, that first one is a little bit old, but it's a kind of general overview of what Elastic is about, and the other two are a little more specific about what that looks like in practice.
And I think questions about Elastic and search engines are really relevant to cataloging, because we can't catalog unless we can effectively search to find out if we have the item or not, if it's cataloged or not, or searching the authority file to find out about which headings we want to use. Search and retrieval is so integral to our cataloging process. Fred makes a good point if you're going to fiddle with the settings. Yes. Yeah. Backup, backup, backup. Or if you are a supported installation, I always will check and say, hey, is it a good idea if I play with this? Another thing I want to point out too about cataloging and the Koha community is that it's a wonderfully supportive, friendly community. Ask questions. I hear so often the phrase, I'm not a real cataloger. If you catalog, if you edit records, you're a real cataloger. That's all it takes. And there's always somebody who knows more about cataloging. There's always somebody who knows less about cataloging. And there's always someone who has a more specialized knowledge, say someone who catalogs maps or sound recordings or online resources more often, and always someone who catalogs them less. And I've been cataloging for decades, and there's a wealth of information I don't know. And it's always fun to learn more from other people. Let's take a minute and see if there are any more questions or comments. Anything else anyone wants to share? Well, I'm not seeing anything else right now. I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and end the recording, and I'm glad that you learned a lot today, Bruce. I'm going to end the recording, but I am happy to hang around for a bit and chat after if there's anything anybody would like to chat about. So I've stopped the recording.